Hey guys, one of our friends on Patreon was asking us about the Go To Travel campaign. They'd heard something on the mainstream media about it and got quite excited because someone in the mainstream media was talking about how Japan was giving 50% off travel in Japan, or contributing 50% to people's travel in Japan. And so that person was rather excited at the prospect, so we had to burst his balloon and tell him, sorry, the Go To Travel campaign in Japan at this stage is only for domestic travel. So it's people already in Japan who are going to travel within Japan, and certain rules, well, lots of rules and regulations that we'll get to shortly. So the Go To Travel campaign, the idea of it is to stimulate the tourism economy in Japan by getting people to move around. So first of all, we've got to talk about the name, because the government loves these Japanglish type names for things, you know, and we've given you lots of examples of them before, you know, the tax file number, the social security number, the my number, they called it. They didn't even copy what it gets called in other English-speaking countries. They just made up their own English words for it. My number. They love stuff like that. So they've done it again in this case, which is totally unnecessary, because it's all aimed at Japanese people. So, you know, just decorating it up with some unnecessary and incorrect English. So, Go To Travel. Which, the tragic thing about that is, in the way it's pronounced in Japanese, is Go To Turaburu. Turaburu. Because of course there's no R in Japanese and there's no V in Japanese. And there's no real L really. So it becomes Turaburu. Go To Turaburu campaign. So, tragic. The Tokyo governor got on the stay home thing and kept telling all the people in Tokyo to stay home. So, when you live here, when you hear one of these things once, it's sort of mildly entertaining, isn't it? But when you live here and you're constantly hearing it, you know, it's like the coronavirus, you know, constantly hearing about the weirdest, you know, give the weirdest a break. So the Go To Travel campaign is going to be the same. We're going to be hearing the Go To Turaburu, and we're hearing it a lot in the media because half the population think it's wonderful, because they think it's good to get the economy going and get people moving around, and people are moving around, so they think it's great. And then there's another group of people who think it's a really, really bad idea, because it's starting on the 22nd of July is the start of the campaign. And the idea was it's supposed to be after the worst of the coronavirus was over. This campaign was supposed to get things going again. But unfortunately, what's happened is most prefectures are okay, but Tokyo Prefecture has been having over 200 new cases every day for the last week or two. So they're actually having a second peak that might even be, I think it might even be higher than the first peak they had. So it's been unfortunate. So what they've had to do is they've had to say, oh, okay, well, we're starting the campaign on the 22nd, but we've got to leave Tokyo out of it. So it's not going to include travel into Tokyo, and it's not going to include travel out of Tokyo from people living in Tokyo wanting to travel around Japan. It's not going to include them, and people wanting to travel to Tokyo, it's not going to include them, because obviously the government doesn't want to be promoting travel to or from Tokyo when those guys are having a bad corona peak. So, and because that's the argument is that some people are arguing is, well, they shouldn't be encouraging people to travel at all at the moment, because it can't help the corona situation. Obviously it will help the economy, but it's not going to help the corona situation, is it, to have people moving around. So the people are moving around anyway, really. There's nothing to stop us moving around, and lots of people are moving around and travelling around and doing their normal things. So whether this thing will actually encourage more people to do it, it probably will, because, and we'll get to the point of it now, because it is actually pretty good. It's a certain percentage of your travel costs, and up to and a certain percentage of your accommodation costs, up to a total of 20,000 yen, which is about $200 a day. So it's pretty good. It is pretty good. It is pretty good. It's really hard. Everything we've heard about it, all the media reports and anybody talking about it, there's been a lot of yoku or karanai going on, as there always is in Japan. Don't really know, yoku or karanai. So we don't really know, but they keep saying, we don't really know, but we think this. We don't really know, but we think this. So there's a lot of vagaries about it. It's been administered or given to travel agents and booking companies and people like that to administer. So for people to recover it, if you are in Japan and you're interested in trying to get onto this, you need to go to JTB or another travel agent, or Rakuten online booking. So you need to book through an approved. So they've approved, as usual with these government type handing out the money. It's like 1 trillion yen or something, right? It's a huge amount of money. So it's going to be administered by these travel agents and booking places. So approved ones. So if you're interested if you're in Japan and you're wanting to try and get some of this, you've got to look for the approved ones. JTB perhaps was mentioned. Rakuten online booking was mentioned, some others. So you just have to shop around and see who's in on it and who isn't. And what they do is they give you a certain percentage when you actually book and pay through the travel agent. That travel agent gives you the discount. It's got to be a package though. You've got to pay the travel agent for your accommodation and for your travel and all that sort of thing. So if you're going to travel to somewhere by car, driving your own car, or by my car, as the Japanese people say, if you're going to take your own car and travel there, you won't be getting any money. So the only way to get the discounts and to get the discounts on it is if you book everything through the travel agent. So if you go by your own car, you'll still be able to get the accommodation if you book the accommodation through one of these approved people, but they won't reimburse you for driving your car. So there's that. So and then they give you coupons. The travel agents and booking places can give you coupons for up to 30% off or something like that. Again, it's all really vague and lots of ifs and buts, and only at approved places, and there's a lot of ifs and buts, and it's really complicated, as always in Japan. They can't make it simple. You know, it would have been simpler probably just to go to the hotels and people and tell them that they'll pay half or something. There's bound to have been a simpler way, but it's really complicated. But they give you coupons apparently. So when you travel to some place and you eat at some approved restaurants, they will give you 30% off when you present your coupon and stuff. So I mean, it's worthwhile if you are in Japan and you wanted to travel anyway. You know, up to Niman yen a day, up to 20,000 yen a day is pretty good, isn't it? For most of us, that would just about cover everything, really. So it's pretty good. It is pretty good. But again, the sad news is for our friend on Patreon, it is only for domestic people. Don't know where that rumor came from that it was for international travelers, but we heard it too at the time. It was all over the place. It was all over the Facebook, and it was all over the internet that, you know, travel to Japan, and people kept saying, is it true? You get travel to Japan, get 50% off everything? And don't know where it came from. It became really credible. Like a lot of those myths, they become so widespread and picked up by the mainstream media, and it ends up so convincing because you're hearing it from everybody. You're hearing it from everybody, every direction, and that's why it becomes so convincing. Our friend on Patreon was totally convinced it was real, and don't know where it started, but that was that. So yeah, it's not true. What else do we need to cover with this? 20,000 a night, yes. Yeah, vague and complicated. All these government systems that they come up with all these things, they're always vague and complicated, and there's lots of don't really know and don't really know and not really sure, and you know, trying to find out more information about this was pretty frustrating. There was lots of don't really know and don't really know and sucking through teeth and don't really know. So vague and complicated, yes. Yeah, not to or from Tokyo. Yeah, that's right, through the travel agent or through the booking place. So yeah, so that's about it. If you're in Japan and you want to try and take advantage of it, just ask around some travel agents and look at Rakuten online booking and just sniff around. From the 22nd it starts. No idea. No one seems to know when it's going to finish. Might be when the money runs out, or when the government decides it wasn't a good idea after all, or something. Who knows? We just roll with whatever happens with all these things when they come along. Go to Turaburu. So that was the Go to Turaburu story. We're talking to one of our family members, 70-year-old man, recently was complaining about that Tokyo governor using Sute Homu, because he said, you know, that there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't have any idea what that means. And it does bother some people, as you can imagine, you know, like, so unnecessary. Things like my number, you know, the why use Japanglish for it when there are perfectly good Japanese words that you could use for that, you know? It seems unnecessary to use the Japanglish word when you could just use the Japanese word. But this is what they do, and yeah, our 70-year-old family member was complaining about it and saying there's no need for it, and it bothers him and it bothers his friends and they don't like it. And fair enough, you know, we're in Japan, you know, but they do like it. It's sort of decoration or cool or modern or something, gives what they're doing credibility or something if they give it some sort of Japanglish name or something, some reason they do it. Anyway, there it was. Go to Turaburu. More videos coming soon.